Investor here, bringing you another independent analysis. And guess what? This time we're taking another look at ticker symbol VRX. That's Valeant Pharmaceuticals. Now, when I did my last analysis a few days ago, we had just seen this thing form a double top, and that was right around here. This is where the last analysis occurred, and we had that double top all around here. You can't see the first part of the double top since it was off the chart that way. I think it was like a week before this day occurred, and that is 3 trading periods before this one. So that was pretty much last week. So the double top originally occurred about a week or two ago, and the first part of the double top occurred about a week or two ago. The last part of the double top occurred last week, 4 trading periods ago. Now, of course, we had that long weekend. That's why I was thrown off a little bit doing that calculation. So all that said, we saw the double top at $29.40, and I did say that even though it was technically a double top, I was still bullish on VRX because though we had the double top, we weren't denied hard at all. It was tested a lot. Even though it got rejected at $29.40, it wasn't rejected hard. So I was confident saying that even though we had a double top, I was still bullish overall. Well, now look at that. The next day, we did channel for a bit, but we did eventually end up breaking above that $29.40 price target of resistance, and we've held above it fairly well. Today we did dip below it here, but we broke right back above and literally ended up closing on $29.40. So that pivot point is for real indeed. However, I think that we can add a new support level. Our 2 levels right now are 2 pivot points in this range, $29.40 of course, and then $26.20 where we have our support down here. But we can add a new level now based on the data that we have, and that level is going to be $28.50. Right there at $28.50. That's where we could have new support based on the data that we've had the last few days, where we've channeled between 28.5 and 29.4. And we had very nice support all along $28.50. And when we broke down below it, it did act as resistance. So indeed, we could consider that a pivot point. It has all the cardinal rules that we need for a pivot point. So now, with that said, let's put that down here. $28.50 as a new pivot point based on the data that we've had over the last trading week. All right, so there we are. So now we have these 3 main pivot points, $29.40, $28.50, $26.20. So what do I want to see VRX do? Well, of course, ideally it would hold $29.40, but even if it does end up breaking $29.40, if it holds $28.50, the chart won't be looking bad. It'll still be in an uptrend overall from where it was a week or so ago. However, it would also mean that we're going to be stuck in this channel still between $28.50 and $29.40, which we've been stuck in, the last few days besides yesterday when we broke up. The price movement today, though, is telling us that we're having a real hard time breaking that $31 area. We just can't seem to break it. So I think that's probably the next area that we test. Let's assume $29.40 holds. We push up. We'll have to break $31 again. $30, not really a problem. We've broken it many times. I'm not really worried about $30 at all. I am worried about $31. We have some pretty hard resistance there, so we really got to break it. You can see we had a heavy denial here, and though those wicks weren't touching 31 on the money, they came within 5 cents of $31, so I'm confident saying that we had an intraday double top at $31 based off the last 2 days of trading. And indeed, on this double top, we were denied hard, falling all the way back down to the last pivot point. But it did hold. We did hold $29.40 and we didn't break $28.50, so the chart still looks good. And like I said a few minutes ago, even if $29.40 breaks, if $28.50 holds, the chart's still going to look good. It just won't look nearly as good. Now, let's take a look down here at our relative strength index where we went overbought from oversold. We have plenty of oversold points from overbought to plot out. So this will give us an idea of the overall trend, what it's been doing. Alright, interestingly enough, every single oversold point was on a bearish candle, which you do see happen. Obviously, we do go oversold on bearish candles, but for each one to be bearish, that's interesting. Just something to take a look at. So we went oversold here, then oversold here, oversold here, and then oversold here. So this is basically not giving us that much information, just confirming what we already know. Both oversold points were almost identical. That could indicate that we're in a channel, and indeed, our candles did channel. Let's actually remove those and just take a look at these. The next oversold points, this was much higher than when we went oversold over here. So that indicated that we had a strong uptrend, and indeed, our candles also indicate that uptrend was strong. However, our last oversold point is slightly lower than the one that we have now. And as we saw back here, when our oversold points were close together, that indicated that we could see a potential channel. This oversold point was slightly lower, not just the same. So that's indicating that we could see this dip down a bit and then channel. So the RSI is telling us that we will likely see 2940 break. And likely we'll see 2850 and 2940 become the new channel. Now those sentiments can change, of course, but the moving averages are also looking fairly ugly. We have all our moving averages above our candles. That's not what we want to see. We want to see them below our candles. And the yellow is my longest moving average of the three here. That's a 50-period moving average. The purple 13, the green 20. So the 50-period moving average is falling, or rather it's going above our 20 and 13 periods simple moving averages. So that's also not a good sign. So though I am still bullish on VRX, I think for the short term, there's a chance that 2940 breaks to the downside and we go back to that $28.50 level. We test that and probably channel between this area. Yeah, it's really all I have to say. I don't see much more indicating that this run will continue for now. I think we consolidate and channel a little bit more before the next leg up. We did try to leg up here, but it just wasn't strong enough. You know, I could be wrong, and tomorrow we could stay above 2940, and that's what I'm hoping since I like VRX. But all the data on the chart, no emotions, it's pointing to us channeling between 2850 and 2940 again. So I'm going to keep an eye on VRX tomorrow and, of course, next week. That's all I have to say for this analysis. I hope this helped you guys out. Any questions, please leave a comment below, and I'll catch you in the next analysis. Have a good weekend. Take care.